Today I picked up a Bosch starter and just cleaned up the starter mounting bracket. Starter goes through the intermediate plate very well. I don't know if it's going to have to be shimmed or not. I guess the only way to find out is to hit the starter. So this bracket, let's see here, it goes around the back of the starter, something like this. I'll put this on there and then mounts to the block. So I'll put it on there and then see how in the world it's supposed to bolt on there. Okay, got the starter bracket on. Clearance looks really close up here. I actually filed away some of the aluminum to give it better clearance. Then it looks like the tooth might be about to touch that front little bushing there. I guess that might slam forward when the starter gear comes up, so we'll see. And then before I start it, I needed to plug this vacuum port here and here, and so I had a parts car out there that I just cut the little banjo bolts off of and just dipped the ends in some quick setting epoxy so it will block off the any vacuum. And I'm sorry, not vacuum, it'll keep, you know, air from flowing through there. So I'm just gonna put those guys on these fittings to block them off, basically plugged them anyway. Alright, so that's simple enough. There's my little banjo fitting with the plugged in, and here's one here. And I also got a vacuum pump. My other one was broken, so I had to pick this up at AutoZone. But I've got that, so in case I need to shut the engine off, in case this doesn't work, this is the cuts the fuel. But in case that doesn't work, there's a shut-off, vacuum shut-off right there, so I can plug into that and pump some vacuum onto it. And I got to get some fuel lines. Shit, I got to get a fuel filter. Forgot that. So I got to pick that up and plug everything in here. Okay, I've got a battery hooked up. I discovered these other batteries were dead. But I just made this is a 2 gauge, and it's going to a ground right there. And then I've got a 4 gauge going to positive, and I've hooked up these 2 clips here. That's my ignition switch. And right now I've got these injectors cracked, trying to get fuel to come out of the injector lines. Got oil pressure. I have a leak right here or here, so I'm going to need to sort that out. But that's good. At least we got some smoke came out, and we have oil pressure, so that's great. That's the first attempt. The original lift pump, and it looks like fuel may be coming from the hose here. I got a little bit coming from here, but it's coming, of course, from around this guy and right here. So I'm going to take this thing off and see what I can do with it. See if I can clean it up. There's probably a crush washer that goes underneath this fitting, and I might need to get a new line. So anyway, I'll keep you guys posted. Figured out it actually wasn't leaking here. This fitting was a little loose, and fuel was leaking. Fuel was leaking down down this line, so it looked like it was loose down there. So I have tightened up this fitting, and let me wipe everything down so I can tell if we're leaking anywhere. But I've bled all the injector lines. I got fuel coming, definitely coming out of all the injector lines. So it should be firing up any second here. Just had to tighten this down a little bit here. Well, let's see again. All right, I'm going to give it a rest. Give that starter a rest. Here's my little cap where if it was a runaway, this cap fits perfect over the turbo. But I'm going to get that starter a rest. It's probably a little cold out here. No, it was 40 degrees. The glow plugs aren't hooked up. So I might try to get those glow plugs hooked up and see if that helps. Okay, so I'm making a glow plug harness. This is going to connect to the existing harness with the 5 connections on that end. It's going to plug into the harness, and this is going to just connect to the battery terminal. And I'll be able to remove it and take it off and put it back on for like 30 seconds of glow. But the way I'm doing it, I just got some of these, I guess that's copper, from the auto parts store, O'Reilly's. And I had these on the shelf. All-Star Performance makes these solder slugs. And you drop one of these slugs, they're just little cylinders like that. Has the resin on the inside, but you just drop the slug, you flip this over and you drop it down in there, and you heat it with some MAP gas, and it'll melt, and then you just stab your wires in there, and it makes a connection. So I just twisted all those together and stabbed it in there. And then these over here, these ends, I have the factory harness. Let's see, yeah, here's the factory harness right there. So let's see if I can do this with one hand. See, the harness has the little connections there, so this is just going to plug into the harness. I have 5 of these, and then that will, the harness is connected to the glow plugs down in there. Here we go. So you have 5 connections there. That one's a little long. And then I'll just touch this side to the positive. I'll connect it on there, for 20 seconds, let the glow plugs heat up, and then take it off, and then start the engine. So I'm going to give that a shot. This looks a little weird, but I just had some white electrical tape. So I've got all 5 wires. So I'd plug one in, wrap it, plug the other one in, wrap it, plug the next one in, wrap it. So none of them are touching. They're all wrapped with several layers. And then I wrapped all the way around the outside. So that's just a cheap and dirty way to do that. And then I've got these wires, into the connection on the end. And I have that running under the engine here, so it doesn't get caught in the flywheel or the front crank pulley. So I have a ground just bolted to the, that's the engine mount stud. That's a good ground. And so that's my negative. And so I throw that on the negative terminal. And then, and that's a 2 gauge. I made the mistake of using like a 6 gauge, and there's not enough power to crank the engine. Because this puts out like 200 amps, this starter. So one of the guys on the on our swaps group, om617 swap group, told me to make minimum 4 gauge. So this is the 4 gauge that connects to the positive, and it connects to the positive terminal on the solenoid. And then these two little clips, all that is a jumper from the positive to the solenoid. So I have a little trigger here. So when I squeeze that, it just closes the circuit and fire. So that's my ignition switch. Anyway, so I'll just touch this to here for a few seconds, let it glow, and then I'll pull it off and drop it, and then fire that. And probably going to take a few attempts, but this should get the engine fired up. I'm going to try this out. I'm going to hook up my glow plugs for about 15 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now I'm going to start it. Ooh, that was promising. Let's do that again. So the glow plugs really, that was the trick. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh, it's wanting to go really bad. It's wanting to go. I'm going to stop recording because it's hard to hold the camera, and I'm going to see if I can do this one more time. And there we have it, folks. Check and see if we got oil pressure. Oh wow, we got a lot of oil pressure because it's cold. We got over 80 pounds. I got some leaking right here I got to fix. Whoa. Well, there we go. See if I can do that again. There we go. Now it's alive. So it can't really... Whoa! It doesn't like to do that on this engine stand. Anyway, that's enough for today. Got it started up. That's freaking awesome. Trick was the glow plugs. I thought I could get it fired up in 40-degree weather and without the glow plugs, but after, you know, trying to start it for a minute or two, but nope, it absolutely needs them. So there we go. That concludes the rebuild series for the om617 engine. Probably need to tweak the timing on the injection pump a little bit. And I'm going to replace this guy because we got some leaks right there. But that's it, you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. That was a lot of fun, a huge learning experience. Took like I think 3 months to do that. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. Engine's back together, and it seems to be working. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. See ya.